Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Yeah. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We can't go out, man, forget my peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Not so tough, but mans keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
David Sampson joins us every Wednesday to spend some time covering a lot of terrain. And I want to start, Stugotz, with the big news from yesterday. Mark Cuban ends up in a deal that's reported, unlike most deals you will ever see on this front, that he I think he bought the team for under $300 million, and now he sells them for $3 billion. And it's reported, according to Mark Stein, that he's going to still have power over things and a substantive, stake in the team.
Really?
That's what's being reported.
Okay.
But I've seen David Sampson say,
sell the team. I mean,
but if you're going to sell the team and don't lose any of the power. That would be a better way to sell the team.
It's amazing. I mean, I can't believe he's getting away with it.
Well, is he getting away with it, David?
No, I cannot see a scenario. And you're right. It's being reported everywhere. And I don't know why, because you can have a step transaction where there's a path to control, like what A-Rod is doing with the Minnesota Timberwolves, where you agree on a price and you pay installments, and then when you're done paying the installments, you get control of the team, and you're a limited partner until you become the general partner. That's pretty common. But to sell the team outright, a majority share, and then still maintain control, I've never seen it. And I would find it extremely hard to believe that it's happening in this instance. I believe the reporting is wrong on this case.
David, could the reporting be accurate, but this is all just part of the plan? This wouldn't be the first time that a transition has the previous ownership still in active leadership roles as they slowly get phased out and the new ownership inevitably will take control sometime later.
That's the step transaction, but according to the NBA, there's just one control person, like in baseball, and they call it in NBA, they call it the governor of the team. It's like the control person in baseball. Mark Cuban is not selling the team to Miriam Adelson and then still maintaining his spot as the control person. The NBA just would not allow that. I frankly would be surprised if Miriam Adelson herself, as a 78-year-old, becomes the main control person. It would not surprise me if it ends up being one of her children or one of her sons-in-law or daughters-in-law. But we'll see how this transaction plays out. But all the initial reporting, even Cuban himself saying that I'm still going to run basketball operations, they're not hiring him to run basketball operations. I don't see a scenario where that happens. I think that he just is either misinformed, doesn't want to admit it, or there's other reasons why he's selling, whatever the case may be. I think when more news comes out on this and the actual vote happens by the other teams in the NBA, it will be, if Mark Cuban sells to the Adelson family, it will be he could keep a limited piece as a minority shareholder, the way the Wilpons have a little piece of the Mets still, but I do not believe that he will be involved in any of the running of the team.
It has been an interesting week for Mark Cuban. A lot of life changes for him. I don't know what he's prepping for, but if this is subject to approval by the Board of Governors, wouldn't they want to approve this? Because that's a pretty sweet deal for an owner that's selling the team. Wait, I get to sell my toy, but I make a huge amount of money on it, and I get to run the toy? Why wouldn't the other owners go for that?
Yeah, I just don't think – I personally just don't think that's part of the deal. I'm not saying the other owners wouldn't go for that were that to be presented to them. I just don't see anyone doing a purchase agreement where they're putting in billions of dollars into something and then saying, by the way, we don't want to run it. We just want to put the billions of dollars in. Is it possible this is the first ever such transaction? I would put it at under 1%. And as for Mark Cuban, don't forget, he's the one who could never get 23 votes to own a baseball team. There was and I was actually on the other side of that. It didn't bother me having Mark Cuban as an owner in baseball. It bothered the commissioner, and it bothered a bunch of the other owners because they thought that he would be too much of a too much of a disturber, and they just didn't want that in ownership in baseball. And it turns out in basketball, he's been just that, a very good players owner. He's got a ring. But I think he may lead the league in fines paid, and he's just always been all over David Stern and then Adam Silver. So I'm not sure that they're too upset to see him go, though I was surprised at the valuation. That's pretty low given that the Suns went for 4. I was pretty surprised that Dallas went for 3.5 or even under 3.5. There could be something going on with that deal where they need a new arena or the team is not making money or something's happening that the valuation was so low.
What is more likely here? That this is part of a transition period? You're saying it's unlikely that any of this results in Mark Cuban still having the power over the team. But when he gets out of Shark Tank after 16 years, when Darren Rovell is out here saying, is this about a presidential run? And, you're getting a lot of people wondering what's fair to assume why Mark Cuban would divest, even though he's selling. You're saying he's selling low, but this is a pretty good time to sell teams if you think the NBA has reached its top on what it is the rights are going to be and that we've reached the top of value. What's the most likely thing? That we're in transition of leadership that happens when you have new ownership, or that he's trying to get away from something?
Well, it's certainly possible, but we've talked about this on Sporting Class with John Skipper, the CEO of Metal-Arc, that there's going to be a huge rights fee increase in this next deal that Adam Silver's going to get.
Again, we're having the
what is
technical
happening,
problems.
man?
With,
It's only happening with him.
Samson's,
It is. You're right.
Samson's Zoom.
I think it happened with Joe Buck maybe as well.
It happened like once, but
Yeah.
since then we've
Again?
had plenty of guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
We
got
missed
you
most
again.
of what you
we
said.
missed
yeah.
the second half of what
Start
you said.
over.
Just did a Zoom show.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's also only happening with you.
Go ahead. Start again, and if it happens again, we're going to get rid of you. Go ahead. Finish what you were saying.
Never an issue on nothing personal.
Got it.
But
yeah,
yes, it's
but
got to be
never
me.
an issue with
We
anybody
hear
else
you.
either.
Yep.
Sorry.
We seem to be at a bit of a.
Oh, here he is. I mean, Jesus.
We seem to be at a problematic intersection here where he wants to explain that it's not his fault that we can't hear him, and we want to explain that it's not our fault. But the only loser here is actually the listener, the viewer.
Depending on how you look at it. Proceed.
See you later.
Mike.
Wait, no.
Seriously?
Finish your point.
No, why would I ever finish a point with you when you say that? That's so ridiculous to say.
Okay.
It really is.
Start
It
your
could be
point.
better than that.
Can you continue the point so that we can hear it?
Damn. I will continue the point if you want. The point is this: you don't have to sell assets if you want to run for president. Donald Trump didn't sell the assets; he put them in a trust. Woody Johnson, when he became the ambassador in the UK, put the team in a trust, a blind trust. So this is not a sale because he's running for president, because there's no reason to do it in that way. In terms of him thinking there's a bubble, there's never been a bubble in franchise asset valuations. Is he so far ahead of everyone intellectually from a value standpoint that he sees this as the height of franchise values? That would make him the smartest owner in the history of owners.
I wanted to talk about a story that came out this week. Jessica worked at Sports Illustrated. We've talked for a bit around here, Stugotz, about how sad it is to see one of the marquee journalism sports brands anywhere in the history of sports, and certainly sports writing, deteriorate and dilute in a way that you now have a controversy involving fake writers created by artificial intelligence that Sports Illustrated is denying are fake writers, not actual human beings. I saw a press release from Sports Illustrated that said everything we've done here has been done by humans, and I don't believe it. Jessica, how did you receive all of that news?
I mean, it's very depressing, but totally expected, given that I worked for these people and I know what the people who are in charge of this company are like now. And I think it's entirely fair to not believe anything that they say, because they have proven time and time again that they do not actually care about journalism. They don't care in investing in journalism. They don't care about having real people write stories. And there's still a lot of really great journalists that work at Sports Illustrated, and I'm proud of the work that we did to unionize the company to protect some of those jobs way back a few years ago. But totally unsurprising to see that this happened, and that they, if all of this is true, that the lengths they went to try to pretend like, none of this happened and, we're the good guys here. That's just straight out of the Sports Illustrated management playbook.
I was wondering whether it's the line that bothered you more than the actual fact of having AI do articles. Was it the cover-up? Was it the line of they did fake bios of people? They did fake pictures of people. Was that the issue for you, or just having AI in general? Because that was the union issue for the writers and the actors recently in Hollywood.
Yeah, and I actually don't remember if this was ever something that came up in bargaining for us, because it was a few years before it was on my radar, certainly, but I left before the contract was actually ratified. But yeah, I mean, I think when you're an audience, you expect that the story that you're reading in a site such as Sports Illustrated is something that's written by a real person, edited by a real person, meets a certain standard that you're used to from this brand and from this company. And I think that when this current operator of Sports Illustrated came in and laid off, almost 40% of the staff, it showed right then and there what their commitment to journalism actually was. So again, I'm not really surprised, and I think it's a total disservice to everyone that still works there that is doing great work. There's still, if you follow a number of reporters there, they're breaking news constantly, they're writing good stories, and this is what they're up against. They're up against management that does not care in the work itself. They don't care to employ real people to do it. And they certainly think that this, is something that they can get away with.
I don't know if you saw the union statement that they released. Did you see that at all?
Yes, I did see that.
So it was a fascinating statement where one of their main points was that it's embarrassing to us and it's unacceptable to have anyone not a human do a story, and it's almost guilt by association where we look bad as writers.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you click on a link from Sports Illustrated and you see a byline, you now can, it's fair to wonder, does this person exist? Because I read a story that they were using an AI site to populate stories and to populate bios and author pages. So, yeah, I mean, I think it muddies the waters completely. This is exactly why the writers on strike this summer didn't want this to be something that they could have to contend with. You should not this. It's so obvious to me why this is a problem that I don't even think it has to be explained. It is just mind-boggling that they would do this and then immediately, as soon as they're questioned about it, delete everything and pretend like they're the company Futurism who broke the story, it wasn't going to have any sort of receipts on it.
I guess I would say though, when you buy a car, are you notified, or does it matter to you when it was assembled by people versus when they switched over to machines or to robots or to AI?
Well,
do you just want to be told that? Or is the fact, what if the story is quality and I'm not backing what they did? I completely disagree. And the fact that they lied about it and then deleted it all is outrageous. But what if that is the future, though?
I think a car is a bad comparison to sports writing, personally.
Stugotz is just seeing some of these fake people that were created here
best.
on a
Yes.
monitor in here. Let's just show one of them, because these authors had rather ornate bios. Like one of them was an outdoorsman. These authors were not, it wasn't simply
That's an important part of a bio, though, Dan. I mean, likes the outdoors. You have to throw it in there if you want me to believe it.
Bow hunter.
Yes.
The teeth, by the way, the teeth in the hands, always a giveaway. What's going on with this guy? But they were also creating profiles of writers that were people of color, too. That is so unethical.
a diverse staff. It doesn't
Salute to them.
It doesn't rank. Yes, you know what? That's right. Way to go, AI. You were diverse
It doesn't matter that Drew Ortiz looks like Luca.
in all of your fakery. Yeah, Drew Ortiz looks like all the Latin people we have around here, other than Tony.
But if you're going to create fake people,
What does that mean?
Don't you create fake people who are diverse?
Yes.
That was I
Again,
think that
credit where
it
it's
has to be
due.
part of
Petty
the plan.
play.
I think
yes.
we're getting better.
I mean, that right there is your giveaway that it's not Sports Illustrated.
The artificial intelligence is getting smarter by not making everything homogenized. We are so bleeped in the future when this stuff gets advanced and evolved beyond where it is? Because I'm reading, this is from Sports Illustrated's actual Twitter account. Advon, which is the third party they are blaming this on, Advon, and Advon sounds like a corrupt criminal organization from the future. The V in the middle of it is capitalized in it. Advon has assured us, this is a real sentence written by Sports Illustrated. Advon has assured us that all of the articles in question were written and edited by humans.
I feel better. I mean,
they have a real
said
problem.
It. I mean,
the problem is that when you lose the journalistic credibility, it doesn't come back. And what the Arena Group was trying to do with this story by deleting it off the web is they actually thought that would help tourniquet the story, but it actually gave it legs. So whoever were their advisors, maybe they were AI advisors or iRobot advisors, but it ended up having the opposite impact where now it's a huge focus where everybody now, every article will be scrutinized in a way that never was before.
Yeah,
I think they're done. Arena Group may have to sell the asset.
I don't know if that is going to happen. They just uplisted on the New York Stock Exchange this past February, and I saw that their stock price took a big dip after the story came out. But the interesting thing about what's happened to Sports Illustrated is that the Arena Group is formerly called Maven, which if you remember when that whole Sports Illustrated thing happened in 2019 when I was there, Maven got a lot of really bad press because after Maven was given the operating, the job to operate Sports Illustrated from the company that purchased Sports Illustrated from Meredith, which is a publishing company that publishes a number of magazines. They then laid off almost half of our staff, and they had no previous real history of running a magazine or running a digital publication. And it was very obvious to those of us that worked at Sports Illustrated that was actually not a great partner for Sports Illustrated to end up with after the sale of the company, which was years-long kind of turmoil for employees where we didn't know what was going to happen and who was going to get laid off and where. It was actually really personally frustrating because after Maven, which is now the Arena Group, got the licensing or the operating contract from ABG, they laid off most of the staff, like I said, but there were a number of us who worked for Sports Illustrated that were quote-unquote permalancers. So I worked for Sports Illustrated, but I wasn't actually paid by Sports Illustrated. I wasn't able to get health insurance. I wasn't able to do the Sports Illustrated, or Meredith 401k. But I was paid from this third-party contractor, which the company that bought Sports Illustrated didn't know that there were employees that were getting paid that were not part of the final line item on their budget, right? So 30 of us didn't know if we were laid off or not for 6 months. So I just went into work every day and the paychecks were cashing, but they had no idea what to do with us. It was incredibly disorganized and frustrating. And we were just okay, well, I guess go to work tomorrow. I don't know. We don't know if you work here or not. That was basically the case for months, David.
Were you getting paid not to work or were you generating articles?
Well, I was actually a video producer at this time, and this time period was when I wrote a story for the magazine, and the entire time I was not sure if I still worked at Sports Illustrated or not, and I ended up going to do this story not knowing, A, if I was going to get paid, B, if it would ever get published, C, if my, expenses would be reimbursed. It was just so confusing and so sloppy, and so for that to be the introduction to the world to this Maven company, which is now the Arena Group, none of this is surprising. They just my opinion is that they don't know what they're doing. They don't understand journalism. They don't understand the business. They don't understand why people like Sports Illustrated, why people read Sports Illustrated, the value of Sports Illustrated, and what the brand could be or could have been had they not done all of this to the company. And it's just incredibly frustrating and disappointing.
One of the things that we have to face, though, is that when it's a publicly traded stock like that, the decisions are not made based on employees and the quality of their work. It's based on share price. And there's such a crushing thing happening with published magazines. As you know, it becomes all digital, and the subscriber base goes down, so your revenue pot goes down, and you just have to cut expenses. And we're seeing that in media companies across the board where people are losing jobs left and right, including ESPN and everywhere, as they're trying to figure out how to make money. So I'm not surprised by any of that. What surprised me about this story, though, was how quick they were to delete it. That's, to me, was the real problem here. We can argue AI is not ideal for journalism, and I would tend to agree. But the fact that they realized how wrong they were and deleted it shows how badly mismanaged it was and how guilty they are. And that's what I think they're going to have a hard time coming back from.
We are thrilled to have Jessica here at Meadowlark Media, but I did not realize that she was Milton from Office Space at Sports Illustrated, where she was walking around for 6 months, not knowing if she was employed there, just marching toward the office and not asking anybody about in 6 months, hey, do I still work here?
I think that Sports Illustrated should really sink into this and start calling themselves AI instead of SI. How about that? That's a good idea.
Put it on the poll. That is Stugotz endorsing his own idea
Yes.
at Le Batard Show. Should SI become AI at Le Batard Show? This obviously makes me very sad. Stugotz is not an avid reader, doesn't care about information, doesn't care whether things are real as long as his paycheck is.
I'm not sure any of you guys know about this story. We're going to switch gears here. But you guys remember the cool backflip celebration that Tyreek Hill had a couple of weeks ago, where he took a cell phone and recorded himself? There was a social media person that was working with the NFL behind that. He goes by the name of K-Fits, and he just put out this video on social media, and I want to get your reactions to it.
This is how I got my credentials suspended for the rest of the NFL season at 20 years old. In week 6 of the season, Tyreek scored a touchdown in the exact same corner of the end zone that I was filming in. He noticed me and surprised me by grabbing my phone and doing a backflip. It was the coolest moment ever, and I ran in the tunnel to send the clip to the NFL. Tyreek got a penalty for the celebration and was immediately asked about it after the game.
You know, I seen the camera, and I just took it from him, and he didn't want me to take it from him, so that's my boy K-Fits, man.
The NFL then let me know that I would be suspended for the remainder of the season and possibly for good. They said regardless if I knew the celebration was coming or not, I still had to be disciplined, and that I shouldn't have jumped on the sidelines after the play. One of the best moments of my life turned upside down in a matter of seconds. I get why the NFL had to make this decision and wish I could have done something to prevent it, but I'm thankful for the memory that Tyreek gave me.
That is such a smart play by this kid, by the way, to do what is in his locker and make a social media video to get the public on his side and to put Post Malone's Fall Apart behind it to make you
Did we
feel
really
sad.
need that?
I feel like we did. I wasn't sure whether to be sad or not. There's a guy doing a backflip. It looks like a happy
But the
moment.
music's sad, though.
Is that smart though? Like, even if the public gets behind him, when does the NFL bow to public pressure? Like,
Oh
you
no,
got
wait, he's going to get fired now.
Oh,
No,
I know.
no,
he may never work with the NFL again now.
but he just created another opportunity for himself because somebody's going to hire.
but
No,
sure,
Dan's
yeah.
going to want to hire him.
Okay.
I already
like,
want to hire
He's
him.
based out of Miami.
Yeah, but we did that with the guy that ran the Houston Rockets Twitter account for a weekend. And then what happened to that person?
Stephen A. Smith is now giving that guy a great job.
No, that's a different guy. But Bailey Carlin, the former XFL guy, he's blowing up.
Former Sports Illustrated
yeah,
guy,
no,
too.
he's
AI.
blowing up.
Yeah.
That is correct. It is a good move. It's a good strategic move. There's no one who's going to side in that instance with the NFL.
This is how things work now, though, Dan. Like, you go viral on TikTok complaining about, like, a product you got that sucked or a job you had that they treated you unfairly, and then, like, something, you make an opportunity out of it if you're lucky enough to go viral. I have no doubt that this will work out for this person now. Yeah.
You disagree, Samson?
I do. Why would you sacrifice your career? Why would you burn a bridge? You should never burn bridges in business, and he burned the NFL bridge, and maybe he'll have a moment of being viral or he'll get to monetize it for one quick moment, one quick second. But you got to play the long game when you're in that business.
What's the long game? He's suspended for the year. It seems as though the bridge is already burned. So why not open up?
Next year is so soon. Next
you think
year
he's gonna,
starts immediately.
I don't know if they're going to bring him around next year if they
Well,
already did
definitely not
this.
Now they're not.
David, you've
And
never
he's
burned
22, so like not 22, 20,
20 also.
20 also.
But
Yeah.
how did he? By putting it out and gaining public sympathy, like his tact was very professional, which was smart on his part to be like, it was an opportunity of a lifetime. I'm so grateful to the NFL. He didn't put blame on the NFL. We're watching that, and we're thinking that the NFL's the bad guys because of Post Malone's Fall Apart. Yeah.
Don't embarrass your boss. That's a general rule of thumb.
Look at how I'm dressed.
I can't even.
I do it every day, David.
I didn't do this to myself. I don't want to do the grit of death anymore. I haven't wanted to do it for 5 years. We are partners now with Max. Our show will be on daily at 11 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. And Billy, as a good corporate partner, has been binging Hard Knocks. And he has been our correspondent in season. This is the most interesting Dolphin team of this century for a lot of different reasons. And this is probably the best Dolphin team of this century. Let's get some sound here going of Tyreek Hill talking about just how good he believes that these Dolphins are before we get to Billy's analysis, Stugotz, of Hard Knocks, because what I've seen so far, this inside of a look of a local sports team, even though it's edited, even though it's polished, this is something that I have not seen outside of David Sampson's Marlins when they did something like this with Showtime, and then the show quickly ended because none of the players, none of the coaches, nobody wanted that controversy around. But listen to Tyreek Hill telling you here how good he thinks these Dolphins are.
Tyreek, do you think you can go all the way?
All the way to the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Of course, man. We got the perfect team to do it. You know, the way our head coach prepares us each and every week, man, it's next level. And he keeps each and every one of his guys in tune with the game plan and how we keep attention to detail each and every week. So it's a beautiful thing to see. Like the way we practice, like the way we play for one another is something that I've never seen before in a team. Like, I won a Super Bowl, and I feel like this is probably the better team than when we won a Super Bowl back when I was on KC. Obviously, man. So, but all we got to do, though, is we got to come out, obviously. We got to practice. We got to prepare. And we got to make sure we show up on game day. You feel me? Like,
yeah, I know.
It can look good on paper, but we obviously got to get it done on Sundays.
What do you think can stop you as a team?
I say ourselves. You feel me? These past few games, like, we've been turning the ball over, and we can't do that. And it starts with the leaders. It starts with myself. It starts with Tua. It starts with, Waddle. It starts with guys like that. The star players making plays, not turning the ball over, and just being able to convert third downs. If we're able to do that and, keep our defense off the field, we'll be all right.
75 days to go until the Super Bowl. It's on CBS. This team right here is going to be there for a segment on the pregame. We got the call up.
Okay.
Are you going to be there?
Yes, I will be there, and hopefully your routes will be better by then.
I got some time to practice. Don't worry.
That's from Paramount Plus. Now, this is from the same Tyreek Hill who told you when he was with the Chiefs that they were going to win 6 or 7 of them. And he's the same Tyreek Hill that has proven to us again
5 without him.
that the words don't really necessarily matter because he says a bunch of stuff, same way Jimmy Butler does. He misses the shot against the Knicks. He guarantees you he's going to make the next one, and he'll miss that one, and then guarantee he'll make the next one. The words don't particularly have any kind of importance. Also on Hard Knocks, man, they are doing a glossy job of trying to fix his image and all of the things that have happened with him in the past, going into his personal life and showing you a side of Tyreek Hill that we have not seen before. But Billy, what are the things that you have seen on Hard Knocks that are interesting to you?
Well, so last night was episode 2 of Hard Knocks in the season with the Dolphins or whatever it's called. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but it was a sad episode because it was featuring Jalen Phillips from the very beginning of the episode.
Oh, wow.
And if you watch the Black Friday game, I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. You know how that story's going to end. So it was pretty depressing because the entire episode we're building up how hard he's worked to come back from this, how he at one point just gave up playing football in college, I think for 2 years before he came back. It's a first-round draft pick, the best season of his career so far, and then the Black Friday game happened.
Billy, hold on a second. So they did all this. Did they show the injury? No spoilers, obviously. Did they show an injury to a certain person?
What injury?
In a game? An injury, just an injury. Did they show that injury?
Is it updated with the Black Friday information?
Yes, and post-Black Friday information.
So they went to the director and said, you know what we're going to do this week?
I think they have what happened today on yesterday's episode somehow. It's crazy how up-to-date it is.
So they said, you know what? We're going to go this route. This episode is just going to be about Jalen Phillips tearing his Achilles.
So much so that I wonder, was there funny business to make the episode better? You know what I mean? Because the story was told so perfectly
was in the script
that I'm like, guys, how did we decide this is the week we're profiling him? How did we have interviews with Mike McDaniel going to him before the game saying, this is your game. America is going to discover you today. The whole country's watching you. You're going to be a household named after today. And we were painting this beautiful picture about how this is the best season of his career, and then...
Well, they're volume shooters, right? There's plenty of people that watch Hard Knocks, and I was like, I'm never profiled. I sat down with those guys for 4 hours, and they didn't use any of it. They just have their cameras on everything. Then they take the result, and they build their narrative after that.
We actually spoke to Javon Holland yesterday, and we were for this week's episode of Godless Football, and we were asking him how that's been and how Hard Knocks has been. And he's like, we really don't even notice the cameras. Like, the actual cameras are only present when there's, like, media availability, and everything else is kind of hidden, and we only really see, like, a camera where we're in the big team meetings. Because everything else, I guess, is, like, mounted, or it's just they're hidden amongst the other cameras that are there. So
I'd love to see the scrubbed NFL videos that are all over those places.
I've heard legends. I think I've shared it before about the Josh Norman OBJ game, this is like the holy grail of NFL films footage, because the things that they were saying to each other on that field would cancel the entire sport.
Yeah, you have to imagine that the script writers will start to go down a certain path, and then by midway through the season be like, no, this one's not working. We have to can all the stuff we pre-shot, right, Billy?
Sure.
When we went...
I didn't understand the question.
Always good when Billy decides to go and yes with improv. So,
are you saying that Jalen Phillips gets hurt and then they decide, hey, let's do the episode on Jalen Phillips. Let's build him up, and then he has the injury.
Yeah, they have a handful of players.
So the injury benefited them.
Well, they have a handful of players that they know that they're going to profile. Jalen Phillips, I mean, the medical retirement is well known about him. Right. So they have a couple of marquee players that they know that they're going to profile, because inevitably they're going to have big games throughout the season. That story kind of writes itself, and then you have the amazing ending, and you reverse engineer from there.
I don't know if this was in this episode or is in a future episode, because the cameras are indeed everywhere. But when we went to the Dolphin facilities, all of us were saying, hey, look, Dan Marino has an office here.
A small office.
We thought it'd be bigger.
Yeah.
What do you think Dan Marino does here? And then I read reports that Jalen Phillips' mom, after that game and that injury, wept on the actual shoulder of Dan Marino.
He told us that last night. Yeah. He was saying how much it meant that the whole team was there. I was actually thinking yesterday, because they showed, like, in the press conferences, they showed the reporters, like, asking the questions in, like, super HD. And I'm wondering, like, are the reporters getting makeup done before they ask these questions? Because, like, not everyone looks great, right? Really? And I was actually thinking maybe, and I don't know if this is something that we want to endorse. I was thinking maybe, because I feel like Chris Cody's the perfect person for this role. Maybe we just kind of send Chris Cody very often to these, like, media day things, just to see if he can get on Hard Knocks by asking questions. So, like, turn Chris Cody into an actual reporter, not with the intention of getting actual journalism out of it or anything of substance, just getting him on Hard Knocks.
New media.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think it's a great idea.
I think he'd be down for this.
Of course he would.
Yeah, I agree, and it would put him as someone who's at the Dolphin facility a lot more than his father over the last 10 years.
Well, we'd accidentally turn Chris into an actual journalist just trying to get him on Hard Knocks. You know what I mean? Like, he'd have to go in and he'd have to prep. He'd have to have informed questions that they would actually need to use on Hard Knocks, because that's the thing. You need to ask the question that you think they'll use.
Yeah. That's correct.
Not an actual good question, just a question that'll be good for them.
That is exactly right. Jessica had a shocking take. Did not like Black Friday football.
I didn't like Black Friday NFL football, Dan. Black Friday is a day for college football games, and the NFL just decided to plop right in the middle there at 3 o'clock and put a game on my TV that I just didn't need to watch. I don't need to watch the Jets ever, especially not on Black Friday, all right? Give me the 3 games on Thanksgiving, and then give me a 2-day break where I can watch college football, and don't interrupt me with some silly NFL games that don't need to happen.
You have probably been very frustrated that you haven't been able to give all of your college football takes here after so much happened over the weekend.
I've been giving them all on Golic and Smitty. Check us out, DraftKings Network every Tuesday.
Well
Got a new
done.
episode
But I said
this
I
week.
did,
Nice.
but I did say here. I imagine that you were frustrated that you couldn't do it here.
No need to fear, Dan. Lucy and I will have a segment this week where we will get to, I think, disagree on the state of Florida State this college football playoff season.
You're going to disagree on the state of Florida State that is now in the top
I think we
4.
may actually disagree on something for once. I'm scared. I don't want to do that.
Have you agreed on a name to what it is you're doing?
No.
It can be that. Can it be Foot Girls? No.
I'm not hard at work at an open.
You're working on an open. But you need agreement and partnership.
I mean, not when you're trying to gain an algorithm. They don't see it right now. But my big man brain is working on a way to really grow this show.
I think the word you're looking for, Dan, is consent.
Oh, I was going to say it, but I thought it was too dangerous. That is, I got near it, and then I backed away. I've been in some controversies lately.
I'm not violating anybody here. I'm just putting some window dressing around it. Punching it up. A good old punch-up.
Right,
Big
but
man
discuss
brain.
it with them,
Well, he has, and they've rejected it, but because he's got a big.
He's
got
moving
a-
forward
got a
anyway.
big man brain. Yes, this
Big
is
man
how the
brain.
big man brain works.
Yeah.
It continues
Brought on
to move
consultants,
forward.
Drew Ortiz, that I'm very excited about.
I thought it was interesting that the committee put Florida State into the playoff. They moved them up to number 4. They're basically saying FSU win and you're in,
Yes.
and they don't have their best player in their quarterback.
Well, so what? That makes it more impressive. You can't hold that against them. I thought, look, Florida's a garbage team, very undisciplined. But if you watch that game, considering the start that Florida went to start that game with and how raucous that crowd was, that was really impressive. Rodemaker didn't look like he could do anything. And they come back and they even cover that spread. You can't punish them because Jordan Travis got hurt. If anything, you reward them for the impressive victories. Now, they still have to win the ACC championship. Louisville's coming off of a loss, but you can't keep an ACC undefeated champion with those performances out of the college football playoff just because Jordan Travis got hurt.
Louisville is so much better than Florida, though.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that win gets rated if they win. They have to beat.
They're saying
Louisville.
beat Louisville and you're in.
But
That's what they're saying.
What I'm saying is,
Which is
Florida,
right.
Florida was bad all season, and then Florida with their backup quarterback is worse. That victory is, to me, wildly unimpressive. However it is they come by it, because Florida State is a good deal better than Florida. But they'll be showing me something after having the close game at Boston College, after having the difficult game at Clemson. They will be showing me something if they can actually beat a Louisville team I know to be good, whether they lose to Kentucky or not. That team is good at offense.
Dan, it's rivalry weekend. Any given Saturday or Friday or
Yep.
Thursday night.
Welcome to the Big Suey. More national in scope, but last night was a pretty terrible night down here in South Florida sports. Yeah, I'm glad you asked. There was a heartbreaking close loss in Kentucky for the blue-blooded Miami Hurricanes.
Close.
That'll happen. A slight bump in the road. That'll happen to blue blood programs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you lose a close game in Kentucky, you move on with your season.
You cost me money.
Credit to Kentucky. They made all their shots.
Right.
Did you know that Reed Shepherd's parents were at that game? Had no clue.
Man, oh man, did the entire storyline, and I imagine Kentucky, do they love just the look of Shepard, just the look of him?
Yeah, but a lot of upside down news. But again, close loss. You can't hold that against them.
22 points, Mike.
I mean, that's a couple possessions. Florida Panthers, a tough one north of the border. They get a point. That's difficult, but they had actually won the game on a penalty shot. But there was a video review that ruled, I think correctly, that Rodriguez hit the puck twice. You can't hit the penalty shot twice. There's a Rodriguez with an S at the end. And then Toronto goes on to win.
It still counts.
Sure. What does?
Tony, it still counts. What's the matter?
Something about una seta.
Put it on the poll, please. Is there something about una seta?
But the national TNT game featured a local team in the Miami Heat. I cannot tell you the grudge that I am now harboring against Jimmy Butler for not toughing it out for the in-season tournament.
He should be ashamed of himself. Seriously, a game that big with all those stakes, an IST game, and he sits out. I mean,
I think yesterday, with everything that was going on with the in-season tournament, showed why it's not a bad idea. Because you can hate on it all you want. Last night in the NBA was made vastly more interesting because of the in-tournament stakes that we have assigned to it. Because yes, this is not only a loss against the Milwaukee Bucks, which, God, I hate going up against Damian Lillard in crunch time when I'm throwing Josh Richardson at him. Like, that is just not the future I envisioned for myself entering this season.
That was a great basketball game. That was a fun basketball game. That game had a ton of energy on it. Bam is playing out of his mind.
I'm very happy with my Defensive Player of the Year ticket. There is not a lot of big men that can come out to the top of the three-point line and ISO up Damian Lillard.
That was crazy. To watch that was Mike, I know he's done it. I'm not going to get used to it. I'm not going to normalize that Bam makes it so that Damian Lillard can't get a shot off when I'm already disoriented by the lack of normal and Shaq's yelling the last 7 minutes of the game. Here is when you go through Lillard. Giannis, get out of the way. Lillard the rest of the way. And then they put Bam on him. That game was exceptionally fun. And on top of everything else, because this part, to me, symbolically, is just 4 our times amazing. The idea that you have to incentivize with yet more money for these guys to play with an intensity that isn't load management and that brings the crowd fever to a place where it feels it's like something between playoff basketball and regular season basketball, because it's a playoff game Jimmy Butler would have been playing.
Mm-hmm.
Again,
well said.
Again, to focus on Bam, because we have kind of become accustomed to him being able to do that. This is, in our lifetimes, one of the greatest clutch performers ever in Damian Lillard, a guy that is known to be able to get his shot off from anywhere on the court, especially in those moments. And for him to not be able to get a shot off, to have it stuffed by Bam, who picked him up at the three-point line, crazy athletic. I don't understand when I look at the odds of Defensive Player of the Year, how he's like 4th or 5th. It just boggles the mind. But that was a great game. Jaquez got some national recognition. Everyone knows that this kid, he's a little bit older than your standard rookie, but this kid has got a ton of promise, has a big body, fits the Heat culture, quotes, quite well. But I was really pissed off that we didn't see Jimmy Butler there. I thought for sure he'd turn it on and rub some dirt on it for this big game. That really stunk. And also, you should fear the Bucks, because Chris Middleton becoming their third player, their third best player in those moments is killer.
Mike, I'm glad you brought up Jaime Jaquez Jr.
He has the Zeta.
He has the Zeta. But he has something else, and I'm ready to make an announcement here and now for Real Hooper Nation.
Okay.
Oh, wow. An
announcement?
He's announcing something.
Hold on.
Right.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
What
is, are you the president of Real
Real
Hooper
Hoopers,
Nation?
yeah.
Tony and me are definitely in it.
Real Hoopers Know has a nation, and I am probably the spokesperson for Real Hoopers Nation on this national platform.
Co-chair me.
Mike can maybe be a co-chair. I have to see some of his credentials. The Wemby take is obviously not helping him.
Well, I got a take for you. I'm hoping you got the same take as co-chair.
So, what I was going to say is Jaime Jaquez Jr. is saucy.
Whoa.
Okay. Same take, Mike?
He is saucy.
Well, I co-sign on that, but here's my take.
Okay.
Jaime Jaquez Jr. is the rookie of the year.
Oh, come on.
I love that. No, I love that Mike
What?
said he's not your standard age for a rookie because he played 4 years in
That's right.
college.
That's right. That's correct.
He's the exact age rookie should be.
Lots changed.
1987, yes. No, not so much.
Less so.
When he drove to the middle of the paint,
He
and then
remembers new metal.
He's 22.
behind the back, little step away fade.
20 also.
That was beautiful. Sauce.
Rookie of the year.
No, come on.
What do you mean, come on? I don't.
a good callback.
He's a rookie of the year.
You like that one? Thank you, Billy. In your honor, I threw it out there.
I've been on to this Evan Rodriguez, by the way, from Canada. I'm looking into
I mean,
this.
you can be Latino from Canada.
His dad's from Europe, so.
With an
Well,
S,
is he
with an S,
Spanish?
you're not.
Is
Tony,
he Spanish?
Wait, hold on. Hold on. Tony,
It's Hispanic?
Tony, are you saying no, you cannot be?
I'm saying that the chances of you having a Rodriguez with an S
Right.
is more likely that you're either Brazilian, Portuguese somewhere in that
maybe.
nation,
Okay.
right, in that nationality, more so than it is Hispanic.
Okay.
Because you need a Zeta.
But is he Native American the same way that 5-year-old, is he Hispanic the same way that
Well, he's from
5-year-old?
Canada, so he's not Native American.
Yeah. That is not one you
Native
want to
North
fumble your way through, Dan.
Canadian,
Like,
yeah.
I'm Googling Evan Rodriguez, Native American. I don't know what you're going for.
What I was going for is a callback on the joke to the 5-year-old at the Chiefs game.
At least it wasn't a dangerous one.
And I was looking for his actual name because they're claiming he's Native American, but his first name is also Holden, and so I was confused by
I have
that.
no reason not to believe the parents and everything like that. This whole thing makes me so sad and depressed because it's just internet rot brain and it's not a real discussion. Also, we were in a group chat with Pablo, and he correctly pointed out that headdresses in that stadium have been banned since 2020. So, the pivot from the people that have been holding up, and I do agree that the fact that this kid has become the face of something, the kid, a 5-year-old, allegedly, or whatever, a child shouldn't be the face of really anything. I find it wholly unfair, but the franchise and the NFL had banned that garb, regardless of maybe he applies a context at gate check-in, like, no, I'm actually Native American and I'm celebrating my heritage. I don't really care. I don't know how this has become a thing in the year of our Lord 2023, where Deadspin is back in just because it was a headline grabber and you get associated with it because it was a retweet. I'm very confused by all of this. It's all very dumb to me.
Well, but this is the thing about the word dumb, right? Because I found that a lot of these discourses descend into the following, right? Whenever it is that you say internet brain rot or stupid or dumb, whenever someone feels that headed their way conversationally, the defensiveness starts. The fight starts when you start telling them that their belief system is dumb. And the other thing that's in play here is whenever you throw the word racist around too, that something is racist. The part that's confusing to me about some of this, if you want to actually discuss it honestly, if you want to not do this in bad faith, I remember in the 1990s, Stugotz, at the beginning of the 1990s, I'm at the Atlanta Braves Minnesota Twins World Series. And outside of that World Series, about 9 or 10 people, Native Americans, are protesting the Atlanta Tomahawk Chop. And I went over there to just talk to them and then was just made sad that they weren't being heard. And so when this conversation gets this angry, this divisive, when it is being used as a platform for victimhood, Stugotz, like you have right now in Donald Trump, you have somebody who the one thing he hasn't had as a white person is victimhood. And now he wants victimhood too as a platform. When you start trying to take away the power from the powerful that they've already had by simply saying, hey, I object to this, can you hear me out on this? And they hear it as this is offensive, this is stupid, this is racist, and they hear it as an argument. we get to the point where we are now where no one actually wants to discuss this stuff anymore because they're not equal and fair fights. They're not honest fights. They're not honest debates or disagreements.
Wait a second. You were at the Jack Morris game?
I was.
What?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
I think
one of the all-time great starts in Major League Baseball history. Perhaps the greatest start in Major League Baseball history. The stakes could not be any higher.
That was your takeaway. I'm going to share my personal experience with this story. I saw it online, and I didn't even notice the face paint. I swear, I just assumed that's that's fan colors, and I just noticed the headdress because I saw two stills: the end zone, which said "end racism," and a child wearing a headdress, which is loaded. And I thought that was the entire thing. And then a couple of days later, I find out that the people that are holding this kid up and making him a victim, which I kind of agree, he is a victim in all of this, they're ignoring the headdress, which is the only thing that I really saw the first time. And the only time that they're actually paying attention to the headdress, and they don't understand this, is, okay, let's take everybody for their word. The child is of Native American ancestry. Oh, well, that absolves it. So you actually see what the issue is here, right?
Yeah.
Now it's convenient that someone is Native American. Well, how could it be offensive if he's Native American? Then you're already conceding that the headdress is an issue if he's not.
The part, though, that is frustrating conversationally about this, and this is the part I won't get, Stugotz, if anybody tells you, hey, I'm sensitive about this is to my people, this is something that's objectionable, I'm not yelling at you about it. Those people protesting outside, this was 30 years ago, Stugotz, outside the Jack Morris game. Like, they were asking, they were requesting.
He tossed 10 shutout innings, man. It was incredible. Not 9, not the standard 9. Jack went 10. He tossed 10 shutout innings in a Game 7 and won the Twins the World Series. I mean, that's when baseball was baseball.
Damn right.
Gene Larkin, a little base hit. I mean, wow.
Gene Larkin?
Yeah.
All right, everybody.